Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Motor Chaos. This is your host, Dave. I got a line special guest, Outlaw Nostalgia Pro Stock driver, driving the Warren Johnson car, Kevin Pryor. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing good. A little bit hot outside, but it's better than winter, I guess.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It was 98 degrees on my way home from work today, so it was. Then we go outside and start tilling the garden up, so it's plenty warm.
It was a hot one at the Great Lakes Dragway Friday. I'll tell you that much.
Yes, it was. It was. Cars were a little off with the power, and the track was a little slick. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but considering it was 95 degrees on my weather station, and the humidity or dew point was at 71, so it was a pretty good muggy day out on the track.
But other than that, did you have fun out there?
Oh, we had a great time. We got to see a lot of old friends that we only get to see once or twice a year. When, for me anyway, I live west of St. Louis, so it takes it's a 6.5 hour drive for me to go up there. So we don't run into those guys a lot. So it's great to see them when we get a chance to go up there.
Yep, you were part of the Magnificent Seven.
That's what they tell me. Yeah. Well, we have a good time. We like to have fun.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car, though, that Warren Johnson tribute car you have.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, I guess, and it turned out better than I could imagine when I started building it. But never expected it to run as good as it did. Never planned on putting a Blanco in it. Never planned on doing all that stuff. But eventually, you just start doing a little bit more each year, and now it's where it's at. So.
Well, next time you come out to the Grove, hopefully I'll be able to stop by and talk to you and meet you and all that stuff.
Yeah, I thought we would see you up there this weekend, but it was definitely hot. I tell you, there was a lot of people up there. I met a few people that were Facebook friends that you don't necessarily know them until but a few of them came up to talk to me when we were there, and that was cool. Getting meeting the people that make comments about the car, or just make friends with you on Facebook, and just do what we do. Talk to the fans. We got to put a couple little two young boys got to sit in my car for quite a while. They were their mom couldn't believe I said, "Well, yeah, you can get in there," and they sat in there, and I think one of them was probably six or 7. The other one was 9 or 10. And they had a blast.
Yeah, it was so hot out there. My wife and I didn't really walk around that much to go talk to everybody because we watched the Wise Guys, then you guys, then we'd go sit in the shade. Yeah.
It was warm. It was definitely warm. I usually don't take all my fire suit off when it's hot, when we're racing, because I hate changing shoes and all that stuff. But I made sure I changed my clothes, between the runs, because it was just too warm.
Yeah, we watched the first round and second round of the Chicago Wise Guys and the Pro Stocks, and then we watched the first round of Jetson, and then my wife couldn't take it no more. She was having problems with the heat, so we had to leave early. We left about 7:30.
Oh yeah, we were there. We spent the night. We went until Saturday morning afterwards. So we just spent the night. They were building that drifting track there behind in the pitch where we were parked actually, and they told us the night before that as long as we were up and out by 9 or 10, we were good. I said, yeah, I got a 6-9 hour drive. I'm not planning on sleeping real late. I want to get up and get rolling. So
yeah. But
they were building that wall right behind us the whole time. You could hear them all night long, which was fine. Excuse me, but it was a good time. I like going up there. That was the second time we were up there, and I look forward to going again.
Now the schmoozer, he was flying in the Colt.
Oh my gosh, he was. It's like, dang it. We were pretty close before. Matter of fact, I'd outrun him a couple times. It's like, dang it. Now I got to try to figure out how to get a few more out of mine, and I don't know. Yeah, it was flying. Yeah, rolling, and Aaron and Bob, they did a great job putting that car together. So.
Yeah.
And it'll go faster yet. It ain't done. They got, it was, I had some issues with mine too. I was driving through the clutch, so I've been working on it this week, and we were hoping to race this weekend, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I'll take my bracket car out this weekend and race in St. Louis.
So now let me rewind the clock with you, Kevin. How did you get into drag racing?
What was really bad is, when I was young, I like most kids, when I was 12 or 13, I knew I was going to be a mechanic, and I went to tech school. I graduated in '77, but they were still in St. Louis. I didn't get the next trip till after I was out of high school or my senior year of high school. But I got enough tickets in that time that I was getting close to losing my license, so I started going to the racetrack. And once I did that, I stopped getting tickets on the street. So that saved me from losing my license. And, friends of mine, we ended up with a Duster with a 340 AHRA car that was a red record holder. And when AHRA stopped, we still had the record in that class for that car. And raced it for a few years, and then I got my own car and big block Chevy Chevelle, and I've run nothing but big block Chevy since then. We've had I quit racing in '85. Got married, had 2 kids, and just money was tight, and so I sold the car and took 15 years off, and went out when they built the new St. Louis track in '97. I went out there for the Gateway Nationals, and I went, oh my God, I've been missing all this. A lot's changed in 15 years, or wasn't quite 15 then. It was like 12, and so I went and started putting the car together, and I thought it was fast, and it only ran 1250, so it was like, okay, this isn't fast. I got to do something different. And then I bought a Camaro, and the rest was kind of history. Once I bought a real race car, it was every weekend I was racing again.
So what year did the Pro Stock come into play?
I bought the WJ car. I had my Camaro for 12 years. It was an '85 Camaro, and it ran 880s, about 165, I guess. And I really was thinking I needed a safer car. That's kind of what started it off, and I started looking for another car. And I found the Forenza, and I knew as soon as I found it, I wanted to make it a WJ tribute car. And my wife, she thought I was crazy, and my daughter. And they're like, "Are you nuts? You're getting rid of Camaro for that?" Because they didn't know what I was going to do to it, And
right.
Once we got done, they're like, first we had to get WJ's permission, to do the car. And he basically said, "Don't make me look bad." And so I'm hoping that I have never done that. But so we put it together and brought it out, and that was 6 years ago when I first got running. I debuted it in Sykeston and ran it during the Grumpy Cup down in Sykeston. I think it was 6 years ago, so I'm assuming that was 2014. I'm pretty sure that's when I first brought the car out. It wasn't as fast as it is now, and I had an automatic in it in a 572. And it ran 530s and 830s in a quarter. We ran that bracket race at Super Gassed it, and ran that one Nostalgia Pro Stock event. Then the next year, Bob Merrily had called me and said he needed a car for the World Series and wanted to know if I want to come up there and run with him for the World Series in Cordova. I met, and we went, and I've been racing with him in Pro Stock from then on. And the first race 3 years ago, I guess, in Martin, Michigan, we won that race, and then I bought another car and quit bracket racing the WJ car. So now I do nothing but Nostalgia Pro Stock with it. That way, I don't have to worry about her beating it up in the district or bracket racing every week. So I
Now, do your kids like drag racing?
Not at all. My son helped me now with the car, but when he was younger, and he had no interest in it whatsoever. My daughter, a little bit. They'll come out to the track once in a while, but they all have families now, and they have other things going on, like I did when I was their age. So when I was doing it, I quit racing because I had too much to do with the kids and stuff. So yeah, they don't go out. I always thought, maybe I get one of the grandkids to do junior dragster or something, but so far none of it's transpired. So I don't know if I have time for that either. It takes a lot of time. So
right. So what keeps you passionate about drag racing?
I love the competition, but mainly it's all the friends you meet on the way. All of my friends that I hang with in the wintertime or in the summertime are people that I knew from drag racing. We've got the guys that I race with right now, my close friends. We all raced together in the 70s, and we're still racing together now. And some of us quit for a while and got back in. And my one guy, he never stopped. He bought a Vega in '84, and he's still racing the same Vega today. It's probably got more trips down the racetrack than any car in history. But because he's never stopped and constantly keeps going. So, it's just, but that's what it is. It's fun. And do I like to go fast? Yes. But I would go out and hang with the guys if my car's broke or whatever, because I still want to watch the rest of them and hang with those guys because they're good bunch of guys there is.
So what do you enjoy most about being a drag racer?
Truthfully, going fast, making a good run, and when the kids, like when those two kids last weekend at the Grove, when I said you want to sit in the car, their eyes light up big as silver dollars. You're kidding me, I can sit in it. And their mom's like, are you sure? I go, yeah, well, they're fine. One at a time, they can get in there. And that's really what makes it neat, because just to see the kids light up, we got to try to keep kids involved in the sport. For one, we need to get younger people involved, and two, heck, we need the fans, so anything we can do to get them to come out is great.
Now, what do you hate most about being a drag racer?
Money. Money. There's not enough of it, and it costs too much. I see the thing on Facebook the other day that said drag racing doesn't cost any more than it did 30 years ago. It still takes every penny you have.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest part. It takes a lot of time away from, like for me now, my grandkids and my kids. My wife goes with me and she helps me and she loves it. So that's great because then we can, she's with me all the time when we race. I hardly ever take the car out when she's not with me. I mean, it's extremely rare. I may go to a test session sometime, but she never goes. If I'm competing, she's always with me. And I can't imagine, not going with her. I mean, that would just be, it'd be really difficult to do. And not that she has to go, but it's just good to have her with me.
Now, if you can have your fans remember one thing about you, what would you want that one thing to be?
Oh, that's not a very nice question. I never thought about it. I shouldn't say it's not nice. I never thought about it. Just that, we go out to have fun and we enjoy the competition and we make a lot of friends on the way. And it's always even with bracket racing, and I do more bracket racing than I do the Nostalgia Pro Stock, simply because we have more races of that. That we're always competing and we're always straight up above board and treat everybody the same and try to make everybody feel welcome. That's really it. It's kind of funny. WJ, they always say he was hard to get along with at the racetrack, and and that's because he was working. And when you got him away from the racetrack, you know, they say he's the nicest guy in the world. I've talked to him; he's a super nice guy. And that's the way I hope that everybody thinks about us and the style of Pro South, and for me, just that we just like to have fun, enjoy the crowd, enjoy the people, and we like to put on a good show because we are having a good time when we're racing. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. It's just a lot of fun, and not everybody can do it. And I had to stop for a while, and I missed it. I missed it a lot. So when I started racing again, I knew I was hooked again right away, and I just knew I was going to do it as long as I could, and as long as I could afford it. I'm not going to go broke doing it, but I'll do it as long as I can.
So now, what drag racers were some of your biggest inspirations besides Warren Johnson?
Locally, Matt Johnson he raced UDRA Pro Stock. He owned a local speed shop here in the St. Louis area, and Doug Herzog, my engine builder, was involved with a lot of stuff, in the 80s, when I met him in the 80s. And then, everybody loved John Forrest and Big Daddy and Shirley Muldowney and all the Pro Stock guys, Lee Shepard and Bruce Allen and all those guys, Larry Morton, all of them, a Pro Stock was what I liked as an indoor car. I did like to watch Top Fuel, but when we would go to Indy, like for the U.S. Nationals, we would go to the stands when Stock and Super Stock and Pro Stock was up, and we'd walk the pits when Top Fuel and Funny Car came up because we wanted to see door cars. We weren't worried about those other cars. So I know that's the opposite of what most people do, but I do watch Funny Car and Top Fuel now because I like it. I appreciate it more than I did back then. But I could relate to door cars back in the 70s, early 80s. So we didn't pay much attention to the Top Fuel Funny Cars. So there was a lot of them that were I wouldn't say my heroes. Most of the super stock and stock eliminator guys back in the days was Bagwell and some of the other super stock automatic Cudas and the big block Camaros, and watching them wheel stands and them taking off. That's what got me hooked more than anything. That's the one thing I miss about my old Camaro compared to these Pro Stock cars that I have now is they don't pull big wheelies, and I don't. Big wheelies are fun. That's one thing I do miss, but I go a lot faster, so that's okay too.
Now, Kevin, do you think you can get any better as a racer? And if so, how would you achieve that?
Yes, I could. And unfortunately it takes money and time, but mostly because I work 50, 60 hours a week, sometimes I'm not as prepared as I'd like to be. The car's not, I should say I'm not, the car's not as ready as I'd like it to be. I hate to have anything go wrong at the track. I don't like working on the car at the track. I want to do that at home. I want to go to the track and have a great time and not have to wrench when I'm there. I'm not afraid to, and I got plenty of stuff in the trailer to do that, but I try really hard to work on the car when I'm at home, not at the racetrack, but have the car more prepared and me not have to worry about financial and I work 50, 60 hours a week at my day job and then try to drag race after that, so it'd be nice to have more time.
All right, now, what was it like for you the first time you got behind the wheel of car and went down a drag strip? How was that experience?
The first car I ever took down the racetrack, excuse me, was a 67 Cutlass station wagon with a 330 with a 2-speed automatic. There was nothing fast about it, but I thought this is really weird. It's kind of like getting on the highway, except for I can go until it won't go any faster, at the time. But when I first got in a race car, for the racetrack. It didn't get any better than that. And we only ran 1220s to 1150s back then, and it was I should say only, the guys that would kill for that back then. Now streetcars would do it pretty easy, but it was definitely it was a rush. There was no doubt about it. And then we slowly just started going faster and faster. My biggest surprise was when I quit for 15 years. And when I stopped, I did not have a trans brake, did not have delay boxes, did not have any of that. And when I jumped in my Camaro in 2000, when I started racing again, and all of a sudden I had a trans brake with a delay box and all this other stuff that I'd never seen before. And I went 980s, and I'm like, holy cow, fast as I'd been before that was 1050s, and it was a whole different ballgame. But it was the first time I'd had a chassis car instead of a converted back half car. So, it was a whole totally different ride. Just like with the Forenza when I built it, it was, because it's a Pro Stock car, it drove totally different. And when I first passed in it, I think I went 860, or I believe, the first pass I made down the racetrack. And my buddies that went with me said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to run it to the 8th. They said, "Well, what about whatever do you do after that?" And I said, "Well, it feels good. I'm going to let it eat." And I ended up running 860, and obviously they said it must have felt good because I kept going. And then I think we went 830 before the night was over, and that was the fastest the car was going to go with that engine in it. So, well, we put a little bit bigger motor in it now, and in the last couple of years, it runs in the 7s now.
So what was the fastest VT you've had with the Pro Stock?
Last year at the Grove, we went 765 at 182.50. And that was Labor Day. We were there for the Time Machine Nationals. And the first time I was at the Grove, and that was actually only the second weekend that I've had the car out with the Lenko in it. And we had, but with the Power Glide, when I had a Power Glide in it, it ran 777 and a 178, I think is what it ran. But when I put the Lenko in it, it picked up about a tenth at about 5 or 6 mile an hour, and I'm still working the heck out of that. We found some issues on Friday at the night under fire. We found some issues, so that's why I'm working on it. Get some things straightened out. So hopefully we can make a little bit better number out of it next time out.
Now, besides your wife, do you have any other crew members for the car?
No. I mean, my friends when I need them. That's the way it always is. I've got some, but for the most part, yeah, it's just my wife and I. We do, like I said, we try not to work on the car at the racetrack, but if we do, then I got plenty of friends to come help me. When we're out of town, like we were last week, that's a different story. You hope everything goes good because then I'll have to rely on Bob and Roland and some of the other guys if I run into trouble. But otherwise, I could do it myself. It's just we never know if you got enough time to do it all yourself, depending on when the next run is. But like one of the guys who had trouble with their car and had to pull the transmission, but he had enough time to pull it and get it done and ready to go for the next round. So those are things you just never know what's going to happen. But when I'm racing locally at bracket racing, my 5 or 6 friends, we're all, if somebody's got a problem, we're all in there taking care of each other, getting the car done and getting to where they can make the next round. It's just the way we always have done it our whole life.
Now, when you're out there on the starting line, Kevin, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions when you're out there?
Actually, I don't. I know certain people get a song in their head or whatever. I just go out there and I had a friend of mine once tell me just you just look down there and think the wind light's coming on. The wind light's coming on, and that's the only thing I try to do is make a note. I'm going to make a good pass. Hope my wind light comes on, and the only thing I do is I want to make sure that we try to put on a good show. That's, I don't want to sit there and not have the car sit still. I want it moving so people don't get bored. Just sometimes the cars are sitting still and people lose interest. If a car's moving, they're going to watch. And we try real hard not to just sit there and play any games. Let's just make the cars run and go. Dry hops are fun. I love doing dry hops. Those are that's part of keeping the cars moving. Instead of waiting forever to warm the car up, just do dry hops and do other things. And, to put on a show, because that's really what it's about for us.
Now, do you have any sponsorship at all?
Just my machinist, Herzog Motorsports, and Pro Glass did my windows, and cut me a break on them. I still paid for them, but Bob takes care of us pretty good, and that's my wife. My wife is my big sponsor. She works for a bank, and she always says the bank's closed because I want more stuff, but she usually gives in and finds a way to get something going. So I wish I had some sponsors, but I don't. I'm not good at bragging on myself, so I just go out there and have a good time.
So what kind of preparation goes into getting that car ready for a weekend?
I try to keep the car extremely simple. I'll check the clutch, run the valves, every now and then. I don't run it every time I take the car out. I don't check the valves. Look over the suspension. That's the main thing. Look over the suspension, check the brakes, check all the iron joints, things like that. Things that are going to be a problem if something would go bad. The motor is solid. If I had an issue or thought there was an issue, obviously would be tearing into it. But the motor doesn't have too many runs on it, so we just keep everything up to date, change oil, every 15, 20 runs, and just have a good, just make sure it's all good. On my bracket car, since I actually rinsed it a lot more, we end up, I do the same thing. So when I got two cars to keep up, it gets a little time consuming. My wife will go, "Are you sure the WJ car is ready to go?" Yeah, because she knows I've been working on the road cars and the race all the time. And the WJ car was only been out with the Grove was the first time it'd been out all year. And I know a lot of people haven't raced a lot in different areas, but I've had my other car out 4 or 5 times this year. So,
now, do you have any favorite drag race tracks?
St. Louis is my home track, and that's an awesome facility. I like going out of town, though. Topeka, I really like. It's so big and spread out, and I haven't been there in 3 or 4 years. I like the Grove because of the people, the fans. There's what's really funny is there's people in the stands. Anytime I've been there, there's been people in the stands. And, at St. Louis, unless it's a national event or a big event like the ADRL's coming this weekend, there'll be people in the stands. But normally, there's nobody in the stands at St. Louis. Those little tracks, Coles County, in central Illinois, that's a neat little track. They have fans. It's fun. They just resurfaced that track last year, and I like going there. Indy is a neat place to go, and one of these days I'm going to run the U.S. Nationals. But Indy, as a racetrack, unfortunately, is disappointing to me because it should be the premier drag strip, and they haven't touched that strip in 30 years. And the pits are not the greatest, and which not any area would be mad at me, but it could be such a neat facility if they would update it, and they haven't. Gateway's twice the place that, and I'm sure Joliet's the same way. I've never been to Joliet, but because they're newer and they're just been updated, where Indy is not. But the other little tracks, there's a neat little track down in Benton, Illinois. That's a fun place to go bracket racing. unbelievable track. We went there once on their night under fire, and that was a great experience. Oh, that was so much fun going that race. And then Eddyville, Iowa is another neat little town. But we hope to go back there again. The country tracks are fun because it's more of a hometown feeling when you go there. You know, when you're in some, and Norwalk was like that. It was still like a welcome hometown feeling going to Norwalk. And, even though I race St. Louis all the time, it's just racers there all the time, and it's more fun going to some of the other places because you can interact with fans more. But yeah, they're all. I don't have any bad tracks. None of them are bad. There was one track I went to. I said I'll never go back, and they fixed the track, and I like going there now. But they resurfaced it. But there was a time 15 years ago that I said I'd never go back to Coles County, and but I will now because they fixed it, and it's great. After they resurfaced it, it's a wonderful track, and they got good people running it, and that's 90% of it. You know, when you feel welcome when you come in the gate, it's half the battle.
No, I know a lot of drivers say they like Great Lakes Dragway because the return road goes right past the fans.
Yeah. St. Louis is like that too, except we never have any fans. But yeah, and I was really the fans were so appreciative when you come up the return road, and you know the kids are clapping and the parents are clapping or waving, and you know that's pretty neat. It makes you feel good. It makes all the hard work that you do to the car worthwhile.
Now, do you do any 8th mile racing?
Yes, most of the time, that's all everybody does anymore is 8th mile racing. Bracket racing is almost all 8th mile. Gateway never runs quarter mile anymore. I haven't made a quarter mile pass down Gateway in probably, when we run super gas in a divisional or something, it's the only time I run quarter. The WJ car, the only time it's been quarter miles is at the Grove. Well, we did Topeka quarter mile, and then Martin, Michigan, we did a quarter mile up there, but most of the other tracks are all 8th mile tracks, and that's another track that's really neat to go to is 131 in Martin, Michigan. That's a phenomenal track too. Those guys, we've been there a couple times, and that's with the Pro Stock car, and it was a lot of fun.
Now, do you prefer quarter mile or 8th mile?
It's easier on the car and parts to run 8th mile, but I'd rather go quarter because I want to leg it out and see what it does. You know, I'm kind of old school that way. I prefer quarter mile, but as far as wear and tear on equipment, 8th mile is just a lot better because it's not so hard on it. And when you're running 142 on an 8th mile track, you can't hardly stop, and when you're running 182 on a quarter mile track, you can't hardly stop. So it's the same, somewhat of the same sensation, you know, shutting down and trying to make the return run. You know, when those cars go fast, you got to get them stopped. So, but we use the chutes all the time when we run these cars. So.
Now, where do you get all your fire safety equipment from?
It varies. Mine, been getting everything. I get most of my stuff from Jags because we don't have our Jerry Bickle race cars. I live and work right near Jerry Bickle's shop. Jerry's Haas' shop's not far away either, but Jerry Bickle's shop is probably 10 miles from my work. So when I need something, Steve's always got it. I call him. I run up there at lunch and grab it, and you know, he has it sent out for me, and it's ready to go. So that's usually where I get that RJX. It just depends on what it is. That's most of it is, you know, the fire suit is, you know, until I wear a hole in it, you know, they don't expire, at least not mine anyway. And then the seat belts obviously got changed every 2 years, and the helmet every 5 years or whatever that is. So, but yeah, most of the time is through Jakes and Bickle.
Now, what kind of engine you got under the hood of the WJ car?
It's a 604 cubic inch big block Chevy with an iron block. So the car weighs about 2,500 pounds with me in it, 2,600. I haven't weighed it since I put the Lenko in it, so it's probably closer to 26 than 25. And it's a 4-speed Lenko with a 4 9-inch with everybody runs, and then 11-degree heads, big chief heads, and 2 4-barrels on gasoline. And we have dry sump, which most of the guys do, and that's pretty much it. It's nothing overly exotic. The motor's not. The compression's only like 13 to 1. I don't have it cranked up too high. And I bought the motor used, and it's worked out real well for me. So.
Now, Kevin, have you reached any milestones in your racing career?
Well, the first was, having an A-trainer. To me, that was good. It was, never thought that would happen, and I was pretty young then. Running back in 82, 83, I bought a new car, and I was in the first 9 weeks I was in 7 finals, which was a great thing, and then I hurt the motor, and then I didn't go to the final yet for 15 years after that, But we had winning the first ADRL Nostalgia Pro Stock race. That was, to me, was a milestone. I've never won any big money races, like any of the big bracket races. Won some $2,000 races years and years ago, and some $1,000 and $2,000 races a few years ago now, but no big money prizes. But running the ADRL, and when we did that and winning the Nostalgia Pro Stock, the first one, and then running up to the second one in Ohio, that was a good deal. I mean, that was, you always want to win. Sometimes you're not going to, but you never know. You just got to give it your best shot. And the best cars sometimes don't leave the starting line, so you could break something or get loose, and you've always got a shot at winning. But you just got to give it the best shot you have.
Now, if you were able to go into a time travel machine and go back in time, would you do anything differently with the drag racing career?
Sometimes I say I would have never have done it, but no, I wouldn't have. I would have things I'd have done different. I'd have saved my 69 Nova that I had when I sold it in 85. I'd have figured out a way just to park it if I had to and not sell it. And I would have, I don't know that I'd change anything, because I wouldn't be who I am today if I changed something. Everything happens for a reason, and I wouldn't be who I was today if I didn't. I might have, like I said, not sold one of my cars and kept it. Matter of fact, if I could find it today, I would get rid of my bracket car and get in. My bracket car is actually Larry Morgan's first Pro Stock car. That's the one I bracket. I got 2 Forenzas, and that's the one I bracket race. So.
Now, what's been your most embarrassing moment on a starting line?
Breaking a transmission. I've never done anything. I left, and it wasn't embarrassing. I thought it was funny. I was in a no box nationals quite a few years ago, and I had the WJ car when I was bracket racing it, and I was the fastest car on the property. I ran 530s, and there was all these no box cars, and we went up there, and one of the time trials I made, I left before it came to it because not having a delay bounce anymore, I left at the first flicker I seen. Well, I never got a time. I didn't even know what LB3 it left before it reactivated, which, so that seemed embarrassing and funny at the same time. But the only other thing that ever really bothered me is when I broke a transmission, at the starting line. That just was kind of, it's heartbreaking at the same time. You're at a race, and you want to do good. 2 years in a row at the Gateway Nationals, many years ago, before they rebuilt St. Louis, I broke my transmission on the starting line, running modified gas, which is super street now, and I was embarrassed and mad all at the same time. How could this happen 2 years in a row? Have the same failure happen, and so those kind of things, And then you say time machine, yeah, go back and buy better parts for that stuff back then, because it was available, but we didn't do it. Now we don't hardly ever break those things because there's plenty of good parts. You spend a lot for it, but they don't break as much.
So what would you consider to be the fondest memory of your racing career?
Right now, winning the first ADRL Nostalgia Pro Stock race, that was just a blast. And, we had a lot of fun, and I didn't expect to win when we went up there. I knew I was competitive, but I didn't expect to win it. There was a couple of cars that ran, we all ran right together, and it was going to be close. So that was the best. And then just debuting the WJ car, when I first brought it out, and even when I super gassed it, we ran at St. Louis in super gas the first year I had it. And the way St. Louis is set up, we parked in a round track, and all the pros parked in the pit area, and we have to drive all the way up to the, way around there, drive through the pro pits. And at that particular year, all of the pro stock cars were sitting in the lanes where we had to drive through. And I didn't see it as much as my wife did, but because she was following me on the golf cart. She goes, "You would not believe how many heads broke when you were driving by with your car, because they all necks broke coming out of the trailer watching the car go by." Well, that's cool, and that was cool. That was probably one of my prouder moments. Yes, I get you think about it. That was a really proud time, because people have seen it now, so it's a little different. But when that car first came out and they'd never seen it before, they were completely surprised of what I did. And at that time, nobody was doing that for the most part. It's people running super gas and doing the other things with a copy of somebody's car. And after I did, I had a couple of people said, "I should have done that with my car." Well, too late, I did it. So, and then Bob and them, they all have their cars. They built them for that. I initially built mine at bracket race and then switched it over.
Well, Kevin, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do this interview tonight.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope it wasn't too boring for everybody.
You have any final words or thank yous, any kind of stuff before we close?
Thanks to my wife, thanks to my kids, and Herzog Motorsports for the great engines and the help and the Bob Merrily for letting me run and having me involved with Nostalgia Pro Stock. It's just a blast. I can't wait I wish it would take off more. If we get some promoters involved and make it happen, because it's a lot of fun, and the fans that get to see it love it. It's just a matter of seeing the older cars that look like cars. But my car's different, because everybody goes, "What kind of car is it?" They have no idea, because in 1987 everybody knew what a Forenza was, but not anymore. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Kevin.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll catch up with you somewhere, probably at the Grove at least. I think hopefully we'll be there later. I don't know if we're not.
Okay, well, thanks again. You have a great night, Kevin.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.